So, a bunch of you beautiful human beings have brought to my attention some news that Joe Rose has talked about. So we're going to talk about it. And the Miami Dolphins were awarded a cornerback off of waivers, and we're going to chat about that. Also, later today, Mike McDaniel will meet with the media, and later today, we'll talk about that. Let's jump into this. What is up, Finn fans? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. Two things we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to talk about the title of the video and some of the news that came out yesterday that a lot of you guys have brought to my attention. And I was like, you know what? Let me do some research. Let me listen. Let's do this, and that. I'll release it early next morning like I normally do. And I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on, did Tyreek Hill get Wes Welker fired? Joe Rose had some things to say about it, so we're going to listen to it. We're going to react to it. And obviously the Dolphins made a waiver claim and got it. But real quick, I do have to shout out today's sponsor. And this video is powered by BetUS. BetUS is a fantastic betting site. I've talked about them so much. They are great. They have all the different sports and everything that you could possibly have on there, from casino to sportsbook betting, to basketball, to baseball, to badminton, to cricket, to rugby. Go check them out. Use the promo code YouTube150. You get 150% on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Very fast, easy, reliable. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is this right here. Kaplow. The Miami Dolphins were awarded cornerback Ryan Cooper Jr. off of waivers from Seattle. And a few of you guys in yesterday's video was like, Doug, who the flip is that? And I'm going to tell you about it. So the Dolphins had another prospect, so don't get too happy about that, to their collection of young cornerbacks on Monday when they were claimed Ryan Cooper Jr. off of waivers from Seattle. He was undrafted last April out of Oregon. Cooper spent much of his rookie season on the Baltimore Ravens practice squad and appeared in one game against Cleveland, but was released November 19th, and then he joined the Seahawks practice squad on the 26th. He is a 5'11". He began his career playing 2 seasons at College of San Mateo in California. He played 2 seasons at Oregon State, where he had 82 tackles, a sack and a half, and 4 interceptions and 22 passes defended. Here's what Lance Zierlein had to say about him. The evaluation of Cooper will come down to what a team is willing to live with. He has decent size and good athletic ability to play both inside and outside. He's a quick responder to route breaks and can be smooth in man coverage underneath. He feels smaller than he is listed height and weight wise and can be exploited by big targets on contested catches. Not good. Why he went undrafted. Cooper's speed at his pro day was very disappointing. Another reason why he went undrafted. And his tape is littered with missed and broken tackles that led to way too many additional yards. The tape had positive flashes, but he might have to make a roster as an undrafted free agent. So what is the thought process on this new cornerback? He's a camp body. That's all. Camp body, come in. Hey, you're free. You're not going to cost anything against the cap. Come on in, try out, see if you could beat any of the guys we have on the roster. If you can't, cool. Good luck somewhere else, or we'll put you on the practice squad, whatever. That's all it comes down to, is he's a camp body. Because from what I'm hearing, he ain't good. And obviously, if he was good, he wouldn't have been available for the Dolphins to scoop up. So there's that. Not less to say about that. The big thing we need to talk about is what Joe Rose talked about on his radio show, 560 Sports, WQAM. And let's listen to it.
That you have with your players after the last game and lost to the Jets is, we got a problem with guys being late all the time. First of all, I've never heard of that. It's happened on teams. I have never heard that thing getting out in a meeting and the players talking about it, and then the coach has to come back out and talk about it. I find them. I do everything. And everybody, when he's saying that stuff, is thinking the same thing. Mike has lost his team. He's got to get it back. If you're going to be the coach, you got to find a way without changing, because you can't all of a sudden come in and act like Don Shula. I get it. You can't all of a sudden come back and they're going, hey, what's with Mike, man? He kind of a hard ass now. But Mike's got to get the team back. Mike
and Kenny. And Joe Rose makes a fantastic point in saying, you know, the guys that are going to still be on the team that were on the team last year are all of a sudden going to come back for OTAs, and Mike is a different person. And Mike is more strict and not making jokes and not buddy-buddy and because all of a sudden they're going to be like, I'm not taking this.
Has to get the team back.
Mm-hmm.
And if the same guys are, you know, doing it, late and same problems, guys not showing up, you got to get rid of them.
I think Flores did that. I think Joe Philbin did that. He got rid of 2 offensive linemen after the England game, and we ended up winning a few after that. I think Gase did it as well. You got to set an example. And again, it might be too little too late for Mike McDaniel to set an example, especially if this is something that was rampant for the past 3 seasons.
Got to get right. I don't care what anybody says. If you have special rules for one guy and it goes on all year, again, and it goes on all year and he's not playing great, if it's going on, even if the guy's playing well and you're losing games, it starts to affect other guys.
Yep.
Because now other guys feel like they can do it. Well, he gets away with it. I can do it. It's like that substitute teacher comes in, man. We got the substitute all week. Great, bro. This is going to be great. He can't be the substitute teacher anymore. This stuff, there's got to be, again, I know it's a new game. I know it's a new time. The Don Shula way doesn't work. I get it.
Yeah, and I talked about this at nauseum. The flack that player-friendly coaches get. Andy Reid's a player-friendly coach. Mike Tomlin's a player-friendly coach. The Harbaugh's a friendly player coach. Andy Reid got essentially jabbed in the chest by Travis Kelce last year's Super Bowl, not the one that passed, the one that passed before that, and yelled at. If you think he was a player-friendly coach, do you think he would have accepted that the way he did?
But we can't have these discussions. This stuff about guys openly being late and having a problem and not wanting to hurt anybody's feelings and afraid you'll lose guys if you're tough on them. I got to tell you the other one too, man. If Tyreek Hill got Wes Welker fired, which is what everybody tells me.
And this is what we're going to discuss. So let's see what Rose had to say.
I mean, if those guys are running to the head coach or the coach is seeing stuff and it's not working, I mean, if you're blaming Wes Welker for that passing game last year, Wes Welker had nothing to do with the 2 deep. Don't blame him. Wes Welker wants his guys to block and play hard. Anyway, we got to go to break.
They got you riled up.
Yeah, man.
But you do have to treat him a little bit differently, but that's okay.
All right, well, you treat him however you want, Woody, because your way, if you were coaching, they'd run all over you, too.
It's a short segment out of that 2 minute 45 second video. Joe Rose said he heard, and multiple people have told him, that Wes Welker was fired because of Tyreek Hill. If that's the case, it's again another situation where you're playing favoritism, like Joe Rose is talking about. You can't play favoritism because then all of a sudden it sets a bad precedent for the other players on the team. And I had this conversation with somebody when I talked about that I did not want Wes Welker to get fired, and they were like, well, the receivers sucked. The receivers were the same they were last year that they were the year before. The only difference was teams played them differently. In 2023, everyone was afraid of the receivers. Everyone was afraid. So Mike McDaniel used motions and got the plays starting off quick. And, we would exploit zone coverage. And then if you went into man coverage, you one-on-one with these speedy receivers, you kind of screwed yourself over. And all this stuff happened. And then the defensive guys picked up on it. And then this year and the end of last year, they picked up on it. Spagnola and Harbaugh and, Buffalo, they knew how to stop it. We're going to play, 3, maybe cover 2. We're going to have that safety play in the middle. We're going to have the corners drop back as if they're playing 2 deep safeties. We're going to mess with them. We're going to jam them at the line of scrimmage because as physical as Tyreek Hill is, he got bullied in that playoff game. Snead took his lunch money. He was throwing him all over the place. And yes, last season he had a bum wrist, and you could see the pictures. He got the surgery on it, but it wasn't Wes Welker's fault that the receivers did not play great and they kind of disappeared. It also wasn't Wes Welker's fault that Tua Tagovailoa wasn't out there for a portion of the games, which also hurt the passing game because you have quarterbacks that are trying to run something that Mike McDaniel made only specific to one person instead of opening it up. And even Tua talked about that it should be less motions and less this and less that. So if it's true what Joe Rose is saying, that Wes Welker was fired because of Tyreek Hill, and in what aspect was that, right? Did Tyreek Hill go to Mike McDaniel and say, oh, he's trying to do this, or he's trying to push me too hard? Is Tyreek Hill one of the guys who's late constantly and being fined but not being punished, I guess you can say? Because it seems like that could be a situation where Tyreek Hill knows he's Tyreek Hill, knows he's the heart and soul of that offense, knows, without me, they're nothing, and I could do what I want, I could say what I want, and I could be late, and I could do that. Not saying he is, or I'm just saying, is he have that mentality? Because at the end of the year, the way he, said, I'm out, and all the stuff that happened and all the off the field stuff that's happened and all the trolling of the fans and all this other stuff, it's not a good look. It is not a good look. And it doesn't bode well for the head coach, who now, like Joe Rose said, is going to try to come back in here and be like, listen, we can't have things going like they did last season because look how last season ended up. In actuality, he's saying in his head is, we can't have things going like they did last season because I'm going to get fired. And I'm going to talk about that in the video because Cameron Wolf said something very interesting that I want to, dedicate a whole video to, on what he had to say about, Tua, about Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier and what the season entails. But again, Joe Rose said he heard things and multiple people told him things, but we don't know the depth of how Welker was fired because of Tyreek, and was there's things said and this and that. But again, if that's the case, then you just can't have that, right? And that's where you as Mike McDaniel can make a statement. Now, I'm not advocating for getting rid of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill makes the team better. The team would be worse without him. Not saying they won't win without him, but obviously any team is better with Tyreek Hill on the field. But if it is true that Tyreek Hill got Wes Welker fired, and then you had him take himself out of the game at the end of the Jets game, which, if that's the case, shouldn't have even played the game from the beginning. Once we were dead in the water, you should have took yourself out from jump with your wrists. And then the comments you made after the game, which, some players, Teron Armstead included, came out and said that that's not what you do. You got to show, as Mike McDaniel, that we're not going to take that. We're not going to take this diva mentality. We're not going to take this me first mentality. We're not going to take the going to the social media and doing this and doing that and trolling and all. This is a new Dolphins, and we're not doing that, and trade them. That's what you can do. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen before June 1st because that doesn't make any sense strategically. But you trade them. If all of these things are true, which they are, except for I don't know about, the Wes Welker thing, because again, it's just Joe Rose says what he was told, not saying he's lied or not, but I don't know in the depth of it. I'm just going off of what he said. You trade him. And again, it sucks because he's good and this and that, but if you're looking at the chemistry of the team, if you're looking at things going on in the locker room, it sets a bad picture that this guy has been walking all over you and you're letting him continue to do it because he's Tyreek Hill and because you can't win without him. He's allowed to say what he wants to say. He's allowed to do what he wants to do. And he got someone fired and he's back and we're going to get him the ball more. We got him the ball more in 2023. We were forcing the ball to Tyreek in 2023. Look how good we did. At one point, we were 10-3. We got to do it again. Sorry, Waddle. I know we just gave you a contract and you're supposed to be the future of the team. Sorry. We're going back to force feeding Tyreek. You're going to lose the locker room. You're going to lose the locker room. But it's like a double-edged sword because then it's like you trade Tyreek. You might lose the locker room by trading Tyreek. It's this whole conundrum that Mike McDaniel put himself in by allowing these things to start building up. But comment below. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree with what I'm saying? What would you do in this situation if you were the head coach? What do you think of the new addition? I will see you guys later today, probably around like 7 o'clock-ish. I got to go to the doctors, and then after the doctors, I'll probably make the video. I got to go all the way to Bayonne. It's like a 45-minute drive. But yeah, we'll talk about what Mike McDaniel had to say. We'll go into it. I'm not going to go too in-depth because we all know how Mike McDaniel talks. But I'll see you guys later today, and then we will start talking Combine. Thursday. So I got another video planned for you Wednesday. But other than that, shout out to BetUS again for sponsoring the video. Go check them out. Use the promo code YouTube150 150% on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. But like usual, stay classy. FN's out.